Okay, we're talking about DMAE, dimethylaminoethanol, but we'll just call it DMAE. DMAE is a natural compound found in the body. It's a precursor. It gets turned into various substances. Specifically, it gets turned into a nerve chemical called acetylcholine. We'll call it ACH, so we don't have to say acetylcholine. ACH is a nerve chemical that's involved in relaxation. It's involved in mental health. Intellectual functions depend on ACH. If you're looking for a nootropic agent, a learning agent, they call them nootropic, Nootropic, nootropic agents, learning agents, a nutritional supplement that you can use for supporting intellectual functions or memory or learning ability or focus ability. You want to use stuff that helps you make ACH or is involved with ACH. For example, some of you may have heard of something called piracetam, Piracetam. Piracetam has a well-deserved reputation as a learning agent, and it works with acetylcholine or ACH. Another neat supplement is called huperazine, Huperazine. These are somewhat exotic supplements, huperazine as well as piracetam. Both work with the ACH system, and they're involved with learning and intellectual functions and memory. If you have a relative, a family member, a friend, a parent who's dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's disease, you may want to think about using piracetam or huperazine as supplements. Of course, DMAE will also get you some focus benefits, and as we said on our last program, DMAE can be found in many focus factor type nutritional supplements. Then there's the whole issue of Lipofuscin, the aging pigment. If you see those little brown spots on your arms, you're starting to get brown spots on your arms or on your face or anywhere on your body, and it doesn't look like pigment. They look like a light brown sort of color, and they have a irregular shape. You're probably looking at lipofuscin, the aging pigment. Lipofuscin is not really a skin problem, even though it looks like a skin problem. That's the thing about the skin. It's multiple layers. Skin is made up of multiple layers. And when we look at something on top of the skin, very often it isn't really on top of the skin. This is especially true when it comes to the cysts and the boils and the welts that are associated with acne or acne-like diseases. So many of us think that, we'll just rub some stuff on this zit, or we'll rub some stuff on this boil or pimple, and our acne will go away. And we're encouraged to think that by commercials and celebrities and know-nothing by dermatologists. I'm sorry, we'll just say dermatologists. We're encouraged to think we can just rub something on our welt or our boil or our cyst and it will go away. That's not how it works, because when we see something on top of the skin, it doesn't necessarily mean it's on top of the skin. In the case of boils and cysts, you're looking at a material that's being pushed up, pushing the skin forward or pushing the skin upward, making it look like there's some kind of boil or cyst. But the problem is really not on the skin; it's underneath. And likewise with lipofuscin, the brown spots that appear on the skin that we call liver spots or the spots of aging. These lipofuscin accumulations are located deep in the dermis, the lower levels of the skin. Lipofuscin accumulation, brown spots, are much more than cosmetic, much more than superficial. They're very important to recognize because they're associated with many of the diseases of aging. As we get older, as our cells get older, this accumulation that looks like brown spots on the hands and the arms and the face is really deep in the skin and also deep inside the body. So when you see brown spots on your skin, you got them in your brain too. When you see those brown spots on your skin, you probably have them in your heart too, and your nervous system. Lipofuscin buildup inside of cells can disrupt the delicate workings inside of a cell, and in addition to being a sign of the aging process, it can also be a cause of the aging process. So if lipofuscin is accumulating, you want to consider that you're building waste. Lipofuscin is a type of cell waste or cell debris. So if you see those brown spots starting to show up on your arms or on your face or anywhere on your body, what it probably means is cells are starting to accumulate waste and they're not draining them away. Well, luckily, there's some nutritional supplements that you can use to help drain away lipofuscin. Of course, it's probably advisable to figure out why lipofuscin is accumulating in the first place, and that means making sure that we're staying off of foods that disrupt the digestive system, keeping our blood sugar stable, make sure we're breathing correctly, inhaling correctly, and exhaling more than we're inhaling, relaxing, activating our relaxation nervous system, minimizing the stimulation of the stress nervous system, all the things we talk about on the bright side, getting on a good nutritional supplement program. All of these will help prevent the buildup of this waste product, lipofuscin. But there's also things we could do to support the elimination and drainage of lipofuscin. You can use lecithin. Lecithin's probably one of the most effective supplements, dietary supplements, for helping drain away lipofuscin. Vitamin E can also help, but there's not a lot of supplements that are more effective for draining away this aging pigment than DMAE, dimethylaminoethanol. You can get that in lots of supplements. Hang tight. We'll tell you a little bit more about DMAE. We'll talk about DMAE and the skin when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this. All right, we're back on The Bright Side. Got a letter from Kim. She says, my brother suffers from plantar fasciitis, and it is a relatively recent development within the past 6 or 3 months. It's an increasingly painful annoyance, particularly by day's end. I know from hearing your show on Sunday morning in my area that you attribute most health maladies to digestive problems and nutrition, though seemingly unrelated. Are there correlations between this problem and nutrition and digestion? If so, what would you suggest to minimize the effects of plantar fasciitis, which is a foot problem? Bottom of your foot gets kind of, fasciitis is an inflammation in the muscle. Fascia is a technical term for the coating on the muscle, actually. Fasciitis is an inflammation, so plantar fasciitis is an inflammatory issue. Why would it be seemingly unrelated? Why would an inflammatory issue be seemingly unrelated to nutrition and digestion? Well, apparently that is what we think. You know, we say, oh my God, it's my foot. What the heck's that got to do with nutrition or digestion? Listen, we got to understand that there is nothing that goes wrong in the body that is not connected to nutrition and digestion. There's no miracle, there's no pixie dust, magical pixie dust that gets sprinkled on the body. There's no little elves that shoot arrows into our body. Everything that goes wrong in the body goes wrong because something gets into it inappropriately. Now, unless you're injecting drugs IV or breathing in some kind of toxic waste, or you work in a nuclear power plant, chances are, if something's getting into your body inappropriately, it has to do with nutrition and digestion and food. Simple as that. Now, we don't get encouraged to believe this because there's nothing that the medical model can do when it comes to nutrition and digestion and food. And the medical model is not about to kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. The goose that lays the golden eggs is us. We're the ones who support the medical model, and the medical model doesn't want us to know that we don't need them. We don't need our doctor. We don't need our drugs. We don't need our insurance companies unless we get hit by a bus or have some kind of severe accident. If you've got plantar fasciitis or any itis at all, you've got an inflammatory condition, and the first thing you want to check on is nutrition and digestion. Eliminating problem foods is job number one. Anytime you have an itis, anytime you have itis disease, anytime you have itis, inflammation, anything going wrong in the body, focus on the digestive system first, eliminate problem foods, and build up the digestive tract and support the bacteria that live in the small intestine, in the small end, to a certain extent, I suppose, the large intestine. Anyway, probiotics, good bacteria, fermented foods, the Biolumin Nightly Essence. I'm very proud to say that Youngevity's got a new product line coming up, and we'll be talking to a guy named Jordan Rubin. Some of you may have heard of Jordan, who's done some tremendous work. He's like an icon in the world of nutrition and alternative health. Jordan healed himself of Crohn's disease using nothing but food and nutritional supplementation. That should come as no surprise to you. If you're listening to this program, you know about the food and digestive connection. Jordan has developed a whole line of fermented dairy products, some of which don't have the allergens that a lot of milk has in it. The main allergen that's in milk has been bred out by Jordan Rubin's his breeding techniques. He's actually got cattle that he breeds, and he's figured out a way to breed out the toxins, or the allergens, I should say, that are in milk. Jordan also has got a lot of good fermented foods, and I'm very excited to say that Youngevity is going to be featuring some of Jordan's products, and that'll be hopefully in the next month or two. We'll have Jordan on, and he'll be talking about that. In any case, fermented foods, sauerkraut, miso, tempeh, all the fermented foods that we talk about, fermented beets, kimchi, that helps. That'll help you with your plantar fasciitis or any inflammatory issue. Using the Z radical is very important for coating the digestive system, and then, of course, eliminating problem foods. As far as building muscles go, or reducing the inflammation that's in muscles, vitamin E is probably the most important of your anti-inflammatory anti-inflammatory nutrients. If you're a bodybuilder, weightlifter, runner, marathon runner, use vitamin E. If you've got plantar fasciitis or arthritis or any kind of itis disorder, think about using 400 international units of vitamin E a day. Alpha lipoic acid is also anti-inflammatory. Around 400 milligrams of that a day can be helpful. Vitamin C is just as important as vitamin E for inflammation, around 1,000 to 5,000 milligrams a day. Get on the Healthy Start Pack. Make sure you're using the Ultimate Enzymes, which have anti-inflammatory properties and also can support digestion. So much we can do. The glucogel caps may also help you with your plantar fasciitis. There's tons of stuff you could do, but please do not diminish or marginalize or be dismissive about the connection between nutrition and digestion and seemingly, as Kim says, seemingly unrelated conditions like plantar fasciitis. Okay, let's see. We're talking about DMAE. DMAE is found in many focus-type formulas. DMAE is important for brain health. DMAE can help you reduce the accumulation or the development of aging pigment. It's important for movement disorders. Brain diseases and movement disorders are related to each other. So if you've got Alzheimer's disease or dementia, or you have Parkinson's disease or any palsies, or you have any kind of degenerative condition, including eye degeneration like macular degeneration, these all can be related to lipofuscin. And using DMAE can be very beneficial. According to a guy named Dr. Ward Dean, who's written extensively on the benefits of DMAE, you can use DMAE cosmetically because it can help reduce the formation of lipofuscin in the skin, reduce the brown spots, and perhaps even prevent the formation of wrinkles. Now, there's not a lot of literature to support DMAE's use as anti-wrinkle or topical anti-wrinkle medicine or a topical anti-wrinkle ingredient, if you will. But there's still a lot of dermatologists who recommend it as effective. Dr. Perricone, most of you guys have heard of Perricone. I started talking to Dr. Perricone back in the early 1990s. I read a couple of papers that he wrote, and I've had some conversations with him. Dr. Perricone rose to fame via his support for DMAE, the use of DMAE for wrinkles. Although when I spoke to him probably 15 or 20 years ago, he couldn't really tell me how using DMAE topically could have effects on wrinkle prevention. Collagen-forming cells that help prevent wrinkles are located very deep in the skin, in the dermis, in the lower levels of the skin. And personally, I couldn't figure out, I still can't figure out why DMAE would migrate through the surface of the skin all the way down to the bottom of the skin. And nobody can really figure it out. In fact, there's not a lot of literature that shows that it can, and Dr. Perricone himself couldn't really tell me how it's done. According to research that was published in the journal Cutaneous Biology, well-respected, peer-reviewed scientific journal, According to an article that was published in Cutaneous Biology, the effects of DMAE actually involve toxicity. The beneficial effects of DMAE actually involve a type of toxicity. Apparently, at least according to the researchers who wrote this article, DMAE induces an inflammatory effect and a toxic effect, which can result in some swelling that makes the skin appear more taut and smooth. The product Nerium, which many of you have written to me about, works in a similar fashion. Nerium causes a swelling. It's a kind of toxic plant ingredient, and it causes a little bit of swelling, and it makes the skin appear, notice the word appear, more taut, more smooth, and younger. Now, there's nothing wrong with appearances. If you want to just work with appearances, that's fine. The important point is, however, that DMAE and Nerium, for that matter, are not nutritional or health-inducing ingredients. They're not health-inducing. They're not nutritional. DMAE is not nutritional. Nerium's not nutritional. It may work, but it works cosmetically. Now, that's not a bad thing. It simply means that these ingredients are superficial and they're used for cosmetic purposes only. They're not going to affect the health status of the skin. And in the case of DMAE, which internally will give you some health benefits, internally it can affect nerve transmission. It's important to recognize that these internal benefits are probably not applicable to the skin, despite marketing that implies that it is. All right, we're coming back with more good health information and your phone calls. 855-660-4261 is our number. We'll be back right after this. All right, we're back on the bright side for Kim, my friend Kim, who's wrote about plantar fasciitis. I forgot to mention CM, cetyl myristoleate, CM cream and CM internally can also be very helpful. They're not nutritional necessarily, but they have some really nice effects for inflammation. CM, both the CM cream from Youngevity and the internal CM capsules, CM for any inflammatory issues. I love the cream. If you mix a little bit of hot pepper cream with the CM, it can make it even work even better. There's a hot pepper cream that you could buy in drugstores called Zostrix, Zostrix. And if you mix a little of that hot pepper cream with your CM cream, it makes a really, really nice rub for sore muscles, plantar fasciitis, even for massage. And you can do self-massage on your body as well using Zostrix and the CM cream. Forgot to mention that. Okay, we'll continue talking about DMAE for internal purposes tomorrow. There's a neat process in the body called methylation. We've talked about that in the past. Methylation is a fancy schmancy chemical name for a process that occurs that keeps your heart healthy, keeps your brain healthy, has wonderful anti-aging benefits, and there's nutritional supplements that you can use that are, they call them methylating agents. These are nutritional supplements that can support methylation, and DMAE is actually one of them. We'll talk about that tomorrow as we continue talking about DMAE, dimethyl aminoethanol, because as we talk about DMAE, we're actually talking about protein and bodybuilding, building the body, I should say. DMAE is a very important methylating agent, which can have some important bodybuilding or building body properties. We'll talk about that tomorrow as we continue on the bright side. I am Pharmacist Ben. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time. Our number is 855-660-4261. Time to hit the phones. Let's welcome Mike from California. Mike, what's going on, my man? Welcome to the bright side.
Hey, I have two questions for you.
Sure.
So I was taking the One World Whey.
Okay.
And I'm not really wondering another good one to take, but they say that they're going to fix the problems and that they're going to have another batch.
Okay.
And I'm just not sure. There were so many claims, so many positive claims on the label that now I'm kind of wondering if they can get the protein and the dietary sugars though off. How can I trust all the other stuff?
I'm in the same boat as you are, my friend. Like I was saying on Friday, Steven's a great guy, the guy who runs Synergistic Nutrition, who does One World Whey. I've had many conversations with him. He's really a health advocate, very integritous guy, honest guy, and he got screwed as much as anybody else did, I think, by the people who were making the product. And your point is very well taken. How do you know? You just don't know. Now, I will say, in fairness to One World Whey, there's a lot of folks, including my mom, and a lot of folks who have a lot of customers and patients of mine who I've recommended over the years the One World Whey product. There's a lot of folks who swear by it, who think they've gotten great results. My mom is included in that, and I've gotten letters and I've gotten posts on my Facebook page from people who say they've gotten great benefits from One World Whey. So even if there's only 5 grams of protein and not as much protein and there's a lot more sugars in there, we got to just have to admit there's people who've gotten benefits from this stuff. So point well taken, my friend. You're not going to know exactly, and you don't know exactly. Your lack of trust is understandable. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive, as Shakespeare said many years ago. And it's true. Once you're dishonest with your labeling, and I'm not saying Steven or Synergistic Nutrition was, but certainly the manufacturer of it was, either intentionally or not intentionally, you lose that element of trust. As a pharmacist, I am very cognizant that trust is very important. That's why I'm so careful about talking about products. And I've made a lot of enemies because I don't talk about products the way other healthcare practitioners or radio hosts talk about products. I don't talk about products that way because, to me, my credibility is of the utmost importance. I don't have anything if I don't have credibility. So I'm not telling you, when I talk about the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, or I talk about the Biolumin Nightly Essence, or when I don't talk about a product, it's because I either truly believe in that product because, number one, I've seen the research, number two, I've experienced the benefits either myself or I've witnessed the benefits in my patients. And if I'm recommending a product, I'm telling you with 100% surety that I believe this stuff works based on literature and my personal experience. So credibility is of the utmost importance. Once it's lost, it's lost. And Mike, I don't blame you. I'd be suspicious myself. But that having been said, there are folks who've gotten benefits from the One World Whey. If you're looking for I know you said you're not looking for another brand necessarily, but if you are, or if anybody out there listening is looking for another brand, you might want to try the Natural Factors brand, which is one that I've started to use, and I like the taste very much. And the protein content is I don't remember what it is exactly, but it's got a significant protein content. It doesn't have any added sugars, and it's made from hormone-free cattle. It's made in Canada, where they tend to have cleaner cattle. and that's the one I'm recommending now. If you like the One World Whey, stick with it. And some folks have gotten benefits, and I'm very excited and very curious to see what the new product will be like. I don't know how it could taste as good. One of the neat things about the One World Whey is it tastes really awesome, but now we know why, because it apparently had so much sweetener in it.
Right.
So you're gonna. I wish I had an answer for you, Mike. You're just gonna have to check it out for yourself. See how you respond. See if you're a weightlifter or bodybuilder. See if your muscles are responding positively. See if you're full and satisfied. That's one of the ways you can tell if a protein powder has enough protein in it, is by your satiety, your satisfaction. Protein is very, very satisfying, and if you feel a sense of satiety or satisfaction or fullness after you eat your protein, that's a really good sign, and that's one of the ways that you can tell. But other than that, you're just gonna have to either go by your long-term experience with the product over the course of days and weeks and months, or you're just going to have to trust. I wish I had a better answer for you. Anything else, Mike?
Yeah, one more question.
Sure.
I'm 25, and I do some weightlifting.
Okay.
And I've been feeling kind of sluggish and just low on energy, so I decided to go get my testosterone levels checked.
There's no way it's low.
Lo and behold,
it's not low.
It was 170.
Oh, wow. That is low.
It's supposed to be like a strong number for someone my age would be like 650, 700.
Yeah, no, that's way low.
Yeah. They had a second round of blood tests to cancel out if there was like any binders that could be like other problems that could be causing it, and that's not the case. So, are
you getting muscle development from your lifting weight?
I'm getting a little bit, but I've always been pretty strong, and it may be like I've retained the muscle that I had before, and I haven't really been making gains lately.
How's your belly doing? You got some belly fat going on?
A little bit.
More? Have you noticed?
But I'm 6'4".
How much do you weigh?
Like 30 or 265, but I'm 6'4", and I lift a lot of weight. I could probably, if I got super lean, I'd be like 220, 215.
Have you noticed over the course of the last couple of years, since you're maybe 23, that you're starting to gain more belly fat?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a sign that you may be experiencing either insulin resistance or you may be starting to accumulate estrogen, both of which will have a negative effect on your male hormone and your testosterone. You might want to start going on to a strict low carb, or very, very, and by low carb I mean low bread, not low vegetables. Vegetables are always important, and that's carbs, but low processed carb, low grains, not just gluten, but all grains, oats and corn and flour of any kind, a diet. That's usually the most significant cause of insulin resistance. Certainly fruit juice and soda and desserts, that goes without saying, but sometimes we forget that rice and potatoes and even so-called whole grains can be insulin resistance inducing, and that can have a negative effect on testosterone. There's also supplements you can take that help you support testosterone. You should absolutely be using 50 milligrams of zinc picolinate a day. You should be using vitamin A every day, 20,000 international units a day. Hang tight. We'll finish up when we come back from our break, Mike, and then if you're on hold, hang tight. We'll get to you when we come back. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. 855-660-4261 is our number. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. Okay, we're talking to Mike in California about testosterone levels. Mike, did you say 170 or 270 on your testosterone levels? Do we have Mike?
Like a lot of elderly people have levels of like 250, 260. So
where were you? I didn't hear. You said 170 or 270?
Yeah, 170.
Okay,
total testosterone.
That is, I would be retested because that's significantly low, especially if you're a big guy. That sounds pretty low to me, unless there was something wrong with the test, or you had.
I got it done in the morning too, when it's supposed to be the highest.
Yeah, so. That's true. You didn't eat breakfast or anything like that?
No, sometimes, it was. I had other. I had like fasting labs to go along with it, and it was like 8:30 in the morning. Okay. But my main question for you was that I think she's going to. My primary care doctor is going to refer me to an endocrinologist. I wouldn't go that way yet, because they're just going to medicate you. Right. But if I did take it, I mean, I'm a pretty serious weightlifter, and now it's like I'm like flipping out because I put in probably like 7 or 8 hours in the gym each week, and I don't think I'm making any gains.
Well, here's the deal. The rest period is as important as the workout period. So you want to be, you don't want to be overtraining. That's a lot of work. If you're working intensely, you're not, farting around in the gym, talking and socializing. If you're actually literally working out with weights an hour a day, that's a lot. That's quite a bit. And you don't need that much. You got unless you got somebody who's coaching you and you're using you're working completely different body parts, which is very difficult to do. That sounds like a lot of work, and especially if you're not noticing the gains. Rest is extremely important because that's when the body recovers. The rest period is so underappreciated when it comes to working out. So number one, you might want to be thinking about overtraining and maybe taking some breaks. That's one strategy. Secondly, if you're carrying 40 pounds extra, which is, you said you're carrying 40 pounds extra weight, and that weight is body fat, you want to keep in mind that female hormone, which antagonizes testosterone, I shouldn't say female hormone, estrogen, which antagonizes testosterone, is made in body fat. So the more body fat we carry, the lower our testosterone effects are going to be because you're making this estrogen in body fat. So losing the body fat is very, very important. Lowering insulin is also very important, and of course, that's real easy to do. Eating more protein and limiting your amount of refined carbs and sweets and desserts are going to be important in that regard. Those are two non-supplement ways to support testosterone. As far as supplement goes, before we went to break, I was telling you about zinc. That's a must-have for testosterone. So is vitamin A. Vitamin E may also help you, and you should be doing the Mighty 90 nutrients just anyway, especially if you're working out. Keep in mind, for you guys who are working out and lifting weights, doing whatever kind of exercise you're doing, you're losing nutrients as you work out. So it's extremely important that you replace those nutrients. That means everybody needs to be on the Healthy Start Pack and the Mighty 90, but especially if you're a workout warrior, if you're out there in the gym an hour a day or doing any kind of workout, it becomes extra important that you don't run into nutritional deficiencies because your body is going to break down its muscle to get those nutrients, which is counterproductive, obviously. So you want to make sure that you're getting the basic nutrients. Rest is important, as I said. Intermittent fasting is another wonderful anabolic or bodybuilding strategy. You might want to consider some intermittent fasting, maybe one day a week, mixing it up. Don't pick the same day. You want to do it intermittently. Keep your body guessing as to when food is coming in and when food's not coming in, and the less calories you eat is going to be also important for lowering insulin. I'm not saying less nutrients, I'm saying less calories. That can also support insulin. Creatine after your workouts, that's always going to be helpful for muscle building. All supplementation when you come home from the gym, that's really the best time to do your supplements. And last but not least, even though you're a bit young, for DHEA or pregnenolone supplements, those can possibly be helpful. Even though those aren't strictly nutritional, those can possibly be helpful for muscle building. Maybe a small dose of DHEA, 5 milligrams a day kind of thing. Or some progesterone cream, or maybe 50 to 100 milligrams of pregnenolone. Those can all be anabolic or bodybuilding. Does that help you, my friend?
Yeah, and I just wanted to say my mom's doing a lot better on the BTT. She was having some heart murmurs, and they didn't know what it was, and it was consistent every 3 or 4 weeks. She'd go to the ER, and for the past 4 months she's been taking the BTT, and it hasn't happened once.
Praise God. That's awesome, my friend. Did I tell you about it? How'd you hear about the BTT?
Yeah, you told me, but I take three canisters a month. So
awesome. Am I kidding,
yeah.
Mike? You're not a medical professional. Am I kidding? As a lay person, as a regular person, when I talk about how important this stuff is, can you see how important it is?
Yeah, it's amazing, and it tastes good, and it's just packed. I bring it into mineral stores, and I tell them, hey, can you replace this for me? How many products would I need? And they just go nuts.
That's
they're
right.
Looking at the label, and they're like, what the? Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying when I talk about this stuff. Thanks so much, Mike. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Think I'm kidding you, folks? When I tell you this stuff is amazing, I'm telling you from 17 years of experience, this stuff is amazing. The results that you get, weight loss and cardiovascular benefits, lower blood pressure, appetite suppression, more energy, feeling better for $50 a canister. What the heck are you waiting for? And you're not getting it anywhere else. There's no products on the market that have this kind of nutritional density, taste, for $50 to $55 for a canister. Use 1 a month or 2 a month. And I'm telling you, if after 17 years of watching the results, if you don't notice results dramatically with this stuff, you're not using it correctly. All right. 855-660-4261 is our number. Buddy in Arkansas. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, I really appreciate you. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I have 2 questions. One,
okay.
There are pharmacists, and then there's pharmacists that can mix ingredients, and I'm ignorant, so if it sounds ignorant, it is.
No.
I just learned this.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes, they call them compounding pharmacists, and those are pharmacists that actually make medicine. Most pharmacists are not compounding pharmacists, and they're very unhappy. Because when we went to pharmacy school, we didn't expect to be sitting in Walmart counting pills out and sticking labels on bottles, and that's why you don't have very many happy pharmacists working at Walmart or Kmart or Albertsons, and I was one of those miserable pharmacists. That's why I started a compounding pharmacy back in 1991. When nobody knew what compounding was. So, yes, your point is very well taken. There are compounding pharmacists who make stuff. I'm sorry, go ahead, buddy.
Am I allowed to use you as a compounding pharmacist?
Well, you got to have a doctor. You can't use me per se. You got to have a prescription. But yeah, I can handle prescriptions. But
okay,
I don't dispense. I got to have a doctor order the material, and then we can make it for you. Although I closed my selling my compounding pharmacy, and I won't be opening another one up here for a couple of months. So,
all right, well, here's my problem, and you can critique it for me. I'm in my 70s. I'm starting to get cataracts, and DMSO, vitamin C. I understand the eyeball has got more vitamin C than anything, and there's one other little compound. It's like, I think it is 6.25 of the DMSO and 1.25 of the vitamin C, and then 1.25 of the other one.
Are you talking eye drops, buddy? Buddy, are you talking eye drops?
Yeah.
Okay.
With DMSO, and I was wondering, have you ever heard of such a thing for cataracts?
Oh, well, topically, absolutely, but internally is really where you want to work with cataracts. DMSO is amazing, amazing stuff. And if you go to benfuchsarchives.com, and then just put in the search engine DMSO, you'll get a lot of information. We talked about DMSO extensively a couple of months ago. Yes, I have heard of DMSO eye drops. I've also heard of DMSO with glutathione and vitamin C and vitamin E, and they may be helpful, but at the age of 70, what you want to be looking at if you've got cataracts is blood sugar problems. This is the number one reason why people get cataracts. In addition to That's right. In addition to digestive problems, which can compromise the absorption of nutrients. So while the DMSO drops and vitamin C drops, and sometimes they'll put NaC in there, and sometimes they'll put vitamin E in there, or maybe selenium, while they may be helpful and give you some symptomatic relief, you want to be considering why those cataracts are forming. And usually you'll find some blood sugar problems, and that would be my number one concern. So you want to focus on stabilizing your blood sugar by eating more protein and using less refined sugars and carbohydrates, and then using the sweeties from Youngevity, making sure you're on the Healthy Start Pack as well. That'll help stabilize your blood sugar. And then I'd also be concerned that I'm not absorbing nutrients out of the gut. If you're not absorbing your nutrients, that means you're going to run into deficiencies of eye-protecting nutrition. Vegetables and algae can be very helpful, by the way. There's so much more to say, but we're out of time, buddy. Hey, I'm going to be in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I don't know if you're near Hot Springs, Arkansas, but if you stop by my talk, Dr. Wallach and I are going to be doing a talk this coming Friday, May the 9th. I'll be glad to give you some personal information. Thanks for your call. Buddy, appreciate it. If we left you on hold, I apologize. Call back in tomorrow and let our call screener know that you were left on hold. We'll get your first stuff. That's all the time we have for today. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for listening, folks. Have yourselves a wonderful, beautiful, awesome day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.